Okay, let's do this. I'm making another follow-up um, tutorial walkthrough, specifically me taking this test as if I was taking it, for the baby or myself. I did pass this question. It's a Torts question. But again, we're going to be doing this with an hour limit, just like I was taking the test itself, for you to see exactly how I did this. I got a 65 on this answer, which is passing, but I know we can all do better. But hey, passing is passing. That's what we want here. Um, oh, what just happened? Anyways, so yeah, this actually I spent 40 minutes on this question, and I did pass this question. So that goes to show that don't freak out if you fall behind. Matter of fact, when I passed this baby bar, I had fallen marginally behind on the first question, and I didn't panic. I then, which I think was smart, was I looked at the other questions, and read the fact patterns very quickly to kind of see which ones I might be able to tackle less time than others, and this was one of them. The theme of it really jumped out at me quite quickly. So again, if you fall behind, don't panic. Just get in there and just you know have confidence and just don't panic. Okay. So what the importance of some of these tests is just really it comes down to like organization and just making it look like a passing answer. I mean, the people grading these have families of their own. Their kids are screaming at them. The wife wants them to take out the garbage. They only get about a minute and a half to read each answer, and they get paid only like I think a few dollars per answer they read. And most of them have ordinary jobs as well, so they're just trying to get through these. Okay, so make it easy for them. I guess without further ado, we're going to read this, and we're going to do this in true test fashion. Okay, so here is, let's see, 1 hour, right? And here we go. Okay. One thing I like to do is, as I'm doing this, I like to just, I'm never, I mean, outlining is, I've never been a huge fan of that. I don't know. I mean, if you want to spend 50, 20 minutes doing it, I you can, but if you just anything goes wrong, you already lost 20 minutes, and it's just I guess I trust myself enough to even if I miss a few things, I rather make sure I get the answer done and miss a few things and make it look like a passing answer than I would try to fit everything in and not make it look like a complete passing answer, if that makes sense. So what I do when I read through the question, I just very quickly in capital letters, like just kind of jot down my headings, so it's easy to navigate. So here we go. And last thing is the exact words they use are very, very important in these questions. If it says a plaintiff pushed, the defendant pushed the plaintiff. It's not shoved, it's not touched, it's not tapped, it's pushed. I mean, it could. The meaning and the exact verbiage really matters. You ever have tried an argument with someone and they just keep kind of going outside the lines and bringing up things, and that's what the bar examiners don't want you to do. And these tests are tests of just that, is knowing how well you can stay within the lines. In this case, the lines are the fact patterns. Okay, so don't always worry about getting the law 100% right. Just don't stray outside the exact words and the fact patterns, and just get your organization right and make it look like a passing answer. Okay, so I got a 65 on this again, which did the job in 40 minutes. So that's definitely possible. And oftentimes these tests are not just quite as scary as the bar examiners or your tutors or whoever it is. It's not as scary as you make it out to be. Okay, so here we go. I'm actually going to run get my charger really quickly. So see now we've actually got about 57 minutes now, and I'm still gonna get this thing done in time, okay? I'm also going to be writing this word for word that my passing answer was, just to kind of make sure that you see exactly, really exactly how I passed this answer, okay? Well, here we go. Oh, David owns a herd of dairy animals, which he produces and sells milk and cheese. Animals in his herd are the product of crossbreeding domestic goats and a wild breed of sheep. Huh, what word sticks out at you in this sentence? Wild, right? Not just ordinary sheep, wild. They didn't use the word, native or something like that, or they didn't use the word, I don't know, indigenous, wild. So remember that. Yeah, the appearance is not as large goats, but have a much more aggressive character. A bighorn sheep. Ding, 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 ding. Aggressive character. We can see where this is going. In fact, the males have large curved horns, similar to those of bighorn, and become aggressive and agitated. Oh, we are not liking this. So this so far is gonna sound like a negligence question. So as I'm just going through this, I'm gonna be typing. Also, very first thing is just type out exactly word for word the questions here. Okay, so it's gonna be in italics, no less. Okay. Action, if any. Yeah. In capital letters, can. Can David reason? Peter be able to obtain against David. Okay. Off. Negligence. This is probably negligence. That's probably where this is going. Okay. And quickly, I like to put down the elements. Duty and strict liability. Falls under duty. And obviously, breach. And then we have our causes here, actual cause, and lastly, damages. Okay. So when you have some of these extraneous, like duties and stuff, like strict liability or landlord or something like that, it goes under duty, okay? Because that's one of the duties. Yeah. I'm going to keep reading here. Where's my pen go? Alright, one of the locks on the gate, depending on how 40 of these animals was beginning to pull free. Uh-oh, from the wooden support post, which the lock was attached. A close inspection. So someone's already looking negligent here, because, a close inspection would reveal that the wood was rotting. This is huge, okay? Because it's not like the wood was starting to fall apart, starting to fray, was getting old. Who knows? Maybe you just, I don't know, what coulda, woulda, shoulda. It was rotting. Bad news. That word is there for a reason. Okay. Run the screws that attach the lock to the 10-year-old post. Unfortunately, David failed to examine the gate support post. This is huge, okay? If the facts say David failed to, he did, okay? Stay within these parameters. Don't try to argue it. Well, maybe David was tired that day. Blah, blah, blah. No. Remember, before, the examiners want you to see how well you can stay within these parameters, okay? If he failed, he failed. Do not fight the examiners on the facts, okay? And this word is very specific and it's very huge, because a breach of duty is a fail to act, negligence. And, I mean, if you get word for word like this, David's looking pretty bad at this point. Absently meteor striking or something. Eventually, we can see where this is going. Eventually, the lock, in fact, pulled out. The gate swung open, and the animals wandered onto neighboring land. Uh-oh. So as you know, with strict liability, one of the parameters is inherently dangerous animals. And this is kind of where they want you to, it sounds like this is kind of where we're going with this, okay? Peter, David's next neighbor, found most animals in his land. Peter attempted to herd animals back into David's land using electric cattle prods, deliver shocks to them when he wouldn't move as he wished. But I mean, dumb Peter, right? But I mean, having appearance inside a large goats, Peter probably had no idea. Okay. Peter was shocked when a large horned animal was turned and rammed him, knocking him to the ground. After Peter was driven to the ground, the animal continued butting him. Ouch! Striking Peter quite a few times in the head and upper body. Ow. I mean, this is also kind of important too because butting implies what? Head. What else do we know about these animals? Remember, they have large curved horns, which is part of their head, which was used to butt Peter. The attack left Peter with a serious concussion and broken bones. Peter went to the local hospital emergency room where his broken bones were set. Even though Peter mentioned having a headache, the doctor and nurses didn't examine him for concussion. So they were kind of trying to throw in. This is, if they ask you here if David can assert defenses, um, this is kind of sounding what they want you to do with that. The doctor and nurses didn't examine him for concussion or other head injury. Peter failed to report to them that the animal had really struck his head. Yeah. Later that day, Peter suffered a cerebral hemorrhage with paralysis in his upper limbs. Ouch. Okay. So, let's the defenses are, yeah, damages, yeah. But the meat of this question is really this, it's going to be negligence. There's no other, tort causes of action. I mean, just, there may be some other stuff, I don't know, like, you don't even go into like some stupid like nuisance or something. Just it's a negligence question, okay? That's where they want you to go. Let's make this question look like a passing negligence answer, okay? Okay, see how much time we have left. 50 minutes and 24 seconds. All right, here we go. So what is? Let's get. I like to bold and underline personally, but you guys do what you want. For me, that just makes sense. Okay, negligence. We all should know the rule of this. The failure to act. There is a duty pres. Breach, and I like to just after I read the question, done this. I'm writing at a weird angle here, so I'm a little slower than normal images. I don't just start writing the thing. I like to write all the rules first, because that way, at least, if God forbid you run out of time, it looks like you just at least had your shit together, and it wasn't like you were just trying to write from top to bottom, and that you at least knew the rule. You just didn't get time to apply it, and at least knew where you were going with it. Each other a duty to not make. Remember, the words are keywords in the duty here is foreseeable plaintiffs, one another in zone of danger or orbit of danger, then are in danger. Under the, if you want to throw it in, it's usually a good idea. Rule: we owe a duty to everyone. It just shows you know the law. Okay. Which is a, remember, strict liability is always no fault. I'm just gonna list the parameters here. I probably even should have said inherently, or just present dangerous animals. And if you notice, sometimes like my answers here may not be exactly perfect. I'm writing it word for word. That I used to pass this question. The result of the breach is just simply the failure to perform one's duty. Easy. Failure to perform. Okay, and that's probably going to be where the meat of this question is. And as you guys know, the meat's going to be in a breach, obviously. The act damages are always physical, okay? Negligence, they must be physical is the key word. Okay, let's just go ahead and do this part first. Well, you know what? No, I take the back. It's probably smart to just bone out the rest of these. So with this thing about yeah, the defenses. I mean, the guy you went after them was trying to poke them with the cattle prod. So then there's probably just going to be probably some sort of comparative contributory negligence, and always discuss the two together. Always discuss two together. And also, there might be like some assumption of the risk. In negligence defenses, you almost always have a contributory compared to negligence is the big one, and sometimes you may even get assumption of risk. If you have time to write that, write it. So then we're going to write the rules here. And notice, I mean, my rule here is not really even that great. I just, I mean, I should have probably just proven that he was co-negligent or he was as negligent. I mean, I just can read negligent anyway. I mean, again, I mean, I'm sure like people reading this didn't really even read my answer fully. And there is some jurisdiction disparity. And if you're going to mention comparative contributory negligence, I would mention this disparity. Depending on the jurors are pure comparative and descent on one part of the bar cover. I have a long-winded law here, but assumption of risk. So again, I like to write my rules out before I get an analysis for anything. All my rules. This is just kind of my style. Yeah. Actually, since I've taken remedies, it's probably changed a little bit, but I guess what we were taught in Torts is something called special damages. And then general damages. The biggest damages, special damages are quantifiable, and general damages are kind of more for like pain and suffering. And these are really not the most important part of the question here. But just if you're gonna do it, like don't leave it half completed, Another cause. Pain, suffering, and inconvenience. All right. Go back to the top. And also, when you're writing these things, use the exact words from the fact pattern. I mean exact, okay, guys? I cannot stress this enough. Where did the question go? So if it says rotting, Say rotting. Don't say decaying. Don't say breaking down. Rotting, rotting, rotting. Okay. If the animal butted him, it butted. Sorry, if it butted him, it butted him. Okay. It didn't. Uh, it didn't ram him. I guess it did ram him here, but so yeah, it turned and rammed him. So the animal, when it really struck him, after Peter was driven to the ground, it butted him. Remember, they use that word probably because it has to do with the head, which is very important. So yeah, it didn't step on him, it didn't gouge him, it butted him. So use those exact words, okay? If he performed a regular semi-annual inspection, he performed a regular semi-annual inspection. Put those exact words in your answer, okay? He didn't do it. It wasn't annual. It wasn't every few months. Regular semi-annual inspection. All these people want to see the graders is if you're paying attention to the exact words in the fact pattern. Then if you can just simply use those words in conjunction with the exact words from your already stated rule. Okay, this is very simple. The baby bar is a matching game, not a know the law game. Okay. All right. So now we're kind of cooking here. How much time we got left? We got a full 40 minutes still. So this is just, again, my style. We can do this easily. If you're outlining, you probably still would have been writing out, and you got to type all this. So if you like outlining, it works for you, and then do it. It's just, I like to kind of make sure I get the big picture of these questions and exams, and that I get all the meat there. And at least if all goes to hell, that at least I have an answer that I think looks like a passing answer. Okay. So now here we go. Duty. So remember, if I said orbit of danger in a foreseeable plain tense, I'm going to use orbit of danger, those exact words, in foreseeable plain tense in my answer. Okay, I'm not going to say like could have been plaintiff or like realm of danger. I said orbit of danger, my rule. I'm going to use that in my analysis here. Okay. I like to start sentences off with here or this or there or in this case or something. Just to kind of show, you really can't go wrong with here, comma. Okay, here, because of where the points are. You probably heard that before in the baby boy preparation class or from a professor or something. Because is where the points are, okay? You just overuse because. It's your best friend. Whenever you can throw it in there, throw it in there, okay? David's next. Peter's next. Her name. Therefore, within, you don't have to like over-explain why being next door neighbors within the zone of danger, okay? Or excuse me, orbit of danger. Within the orbit of danger, it's just, I mean, they get it, I think a lot of people over-explain things. I'm kind of pissed at schools and stuff and baby boy preparation courses because they keep overanalyzing your answer when, you're just, as long as you get those words together and you just make it in a fluid sentence that makes sense to a fifth grader, then you'll be fine, and I'm proof of this here, Orbit of danger. Okay? Orbit of danger. Orbit of danger, okay? Danger. To not make him a what? What did I say? Foreseeable plaintiff, okay? So easy. Peter would also fall to the category of everyone. Why not? I said it in the rule, might as well. I had a tutor for a little bit, and she really helped me pass the baby bar. She would say, you have this in your rule, but you didn't put it in your answer. She wasn't like, well, that's not right, this and that, well, you should say, but she's like, look, it's so simple. If you put it in your rule, put it in your answer. Like, or if you then don't put it in your rule. So simple. Don't look stupid. So now David owed Peter a duty. Okay, remember here, rule that even though domestic goats. Okay, what do they say in the exact facts? All right. Okay. Domestic goats, wild sheep. Maybe I should have said breed, but I mean, yeah. Don't throw in words that aren't there, though. Sometimes you can shorten it. Domestic goats, wild sheep. I stuck with the facts. Okay? Easy. Dangerous as animal. A much more what? What do they have? What do the facts say? They have you're just cherry picking. It's so easy. Okay, I almost fell asleep taking this test. You're just like matching words. It's so easy. Much more aggressive. I can't spell that character. I kind of get lazy sometimes. Of if you got a kind of like character of bighorn sheep, and I was kind of running for time here, so I kind of paraphrased it of a bighorn sheep, and have some of the males have. So I kind of just, you'll see, I ran through this period here, which is, you know, I mean, just as long as you don't change the, don't get too lazy though. And that, some of the word for word, I guess I kind of, the males, or some of the males. Maybe I just, here I made a mistake. I should have just said, and that the males, not some of the males, but you know, males. Okay, now let's press for time too. Have large herd of Anakin. And so now we're, when you're doing an negligence question with strict liability, always still do the regular duty and then just add the strict liability duty after the regular duty. The regular duty was the foreseeable plaintiff's over advantage one, okay? And just do the other duty in another headline like I did here with strict liability. Probably be in their nature. David also owes a strict liability to Peter. Okay, we're cooking. You can start with, you know, here, comma, or just because we knew of the dangerous. Here's my big word, propensity. Haha. Oh, apparently he's not in his spell check. Look at that. Such a big word. Anyway, it was known that it would make sense to make sure that the fences keeping them in worse, right? I'm sure the grader didn't even read it. He just was like, you know, just kind of like glanced over it. As long as he saw some keywords in there. Right there was at. And the biggest thing about breach is a keyword is it. And I just threw it in there so just like out of my ass. The reasonable person test is under breach. The reasonable person test is under breach. Just throw it in there, okay? And make it sound like you know what you're talking about. Is the keyword. Because what was it? Remember? Because a close inspection, right? Because a close remember the exact words to that. Ten-year-old post, right? Just, yeah. Throw it in there, that 10-year-old that you know what you're talking about. You read the facts, you remember the facts, you pay attention to the facts. More to, and therefore David would have the exact words, semi-annual inspection, the for the see, I even inherently dangerous here before I just said they were dangerous. You know, I make mistakes, but my answer looks like a passing answer, okay? I'm not even sure why I threw this in here, this sentence here. I guess I was just kind of, I didn't have to, I already proved above that he, oh, I guess, oh yeah, because breach is just one category here. I had to also add in that he breached his, uh, that he breached both duties under the entire breach analysis here. So both the receivable and the receivable plans and the order danger duty and also district liability duty, I had to discuss both of these in breach. So conclusion, David breached his duty to be this one's easy, but for David was, I kind of got a little lazy here. I'll just it said premises. I'm not even sure what they said. Premises in the maybe. Well, maybe they didn't say premise. Look at that. I just kind of threw that word in. So even I make mistakes too. Okay. What is the actual cause of? How are we in time? All right, we got about half an hour still. So see, you know, it's not that bad. Times you heard. The electric. Remember the exact words, okay? Independent. From my rule here, from an independent, unforeseen. Don't overcomplicate yourself, you know. Still naturally, right? Unforeseen. These facts, these words match from my rule, and these words match my rule. And I used in the other part here, electric cattle prod. Electric cattle prod, okay? Use the exact words. Naturally. And what I'm writing now is it's just not even part. I mean, duh, the creator knows that, like, it's foreseeable that electric cattle prod with the endangered animals. Yeah, it's just, this part doesn't even, you know. I just want to say that you get the keywords in there. If they broke free, it could. Which is the other part, a possible unforeseen event, failure to, I don't know, you do have to discuss that because, you know, there's a reason why they put that in the question. Same exact word, independent, unforeseen event, just like I wrote here, okay? Same exact words. Don't get lazy. We can't have this. Can't have lazy lawyers. Nice, so you know, just wing it. You know, just use common sense. It doesn't really, almost doesn't really matter what you say here. Visual damage to Peter's head, which the facts do not indicate. Oh, they get off on that phrase. The facts do not indicate. Oh my God, he's paying attention. Reasonably just. And in this case, comma is also just a big. It's it gives them massive hard-ons too. Injuries Makes sense, right? Other injuries to his body, he got beat up. It could be something else. This part shouldn't be too hard to prove. You got fucked up by these animals. Eventually. Whereupon, it's okay to sound fancy every once in a while. And broken. Remember exact words. What did he have? Cerebral hemorrhage. Paralysis, right? He suffered. What did he suffer? Exactly that. Cerebral paralysis of his. I mean, this part just barely even matters. Just list them all, word for word. Are physical, right? Physical. Peter suffered damages. I guess technically you should. And then I guess I just was. I'm running through this during the, the test time. It's you're anxious. I'm nervous too, and I'm just, So that's last part negligence. So Peter for negligence. Ta-da. I mean, I just went straight to the other part of the question. Maybe there's some other thing here, the top answer you gave or something. I don't know, but it's just negligence question. Like I said before, just move on to the next one before we go back to the other possible causes of tort action. Okay. Even though it could be argued that Peter was. Yeah, here I said co-negligent. Here I just said negligent anyway. So yeah, I made a small mistake here. It's not the end of the world, who cares? Just try your best, okay? And what did he do? Remember, he was attempting to hurt him. Exact words. Because remember in the fact pattern, attempted to hurt, okay? To hurt the animal back into smooth and electric. Wish. Instigating to. Facts indicate. Boom. Animals have the same size and. Even with the couldn't have reasonably known. Reasonable is always a good word in these types of tests, just if you can use it, use it. Can't go wrong. It's possible, he didn't mention to the doctors. What are the doctors supposed to do? I mean, they're not human too, to know that he had gotten rammed. And here I kind of broke my own rule. I said struck when in fact he got butted. But you press for time, and it's not the end of the world if if you don't use the exact words for one or two of them, but just vast majority, you really gotta let them know that you're paying attention, The trauma. I mean, it's reasonable that Peter had just suffered. I've had this Assumption of risk. Despite a claim that here. I kind of got a little lazy here, trying to finish out part of this question here that's not like super crucial, you know. I think the janitor at my office here is going to get a surprise when he opens the door and finds me, because we're going to find out, but I can't stop now. Yeah, I mean, this kind of falls in the other one that, you know, I mean, they said those things about how they had the same size and appearance and shape and all that. Here, it was they had the appearance and size of large goats, but the character is different. How's he supposed to know the appearance and size of large goats? I mean, like, you don't, you know, a lot of us would have done the same thing with these goats on our land, you know? The animals. Okay, now we're on to the damages last part. How much time? We still got 20 minutes left. Isn't that wild? With all my talking, too. Because, remember, here, comma, this and that, or just because, or here, comma, because. Just switch it up, you know? It's all you can. I like to always start it with either here, comma, or start it with because. It's hard to go wrong with that. Remember, what did he? We're trying to talk about quantifiable damages here. So will likely have any quantifiable. Yes, damages per above. And you can kind of start to say David's negligence after you proved he was negligent. You can state it like it was a fact because you already proved that above. Need to be compensated for these. The last part here, because. This part just doesn't even matter almost. Immense amount of pain. So yeah, but you do want to use the exact words and still pain, suffering, or just I didn't even put suffering in there. I just put inconvenience. Look at that, you know. And that's it, guys. Even with all my talking, we've got 17 minutes and 40 seconds left. Okay? It's entirely possible. And I got a 65 on this question. So, but the thing is, you know, it looks like what? Looks like a passing answer. With different things, and you know, the quotes, the keywords and quotes over the danger. So the creator probably saw my answer, and they probably like, oh, it's not like really the best answer. It could probably be a lot more complete. I mean, I could have probably talked about more stuff about the you know, the you compare the between the horns and the fact that it was butted and it was the head and really tie in that causation. Um, I might have been, yeah. I mean, or maybe talked about the comparative contributor negligence more, but with things like this, they just want to know. The grader saw my answer and he said, "All right, negligence," and he saw strict liability. And he gets it, you know. He understands dangerous, dangerous animals like this. Then I answered, at least put something that looked like it was like I knew what I was talking about in each of these answers here, you know. And that's all that really matters. Make it look like a nice, beautiful, like, the organization, bold, underlined headlines, and I like to put in these bigger questions. The key elements each have their own headlines. You don't have to bold them. You can just capitalize them so they stand out because they're all still within the bolded issue here of negligence. I suppose if I really wanted to go, I could have like gone into like the some kind of like well, I guess it wouldn't really be like land because because Peter did find the animals on his land. He didn't. It wasn't like a. It wouldn't have been David like a. It wouldn't have been like a business invitee or like a licensee question really. So um, I don't know. So this is yeah, it's a 65 passing answer, and yeah. So just don't panic, and typing speed is kind of important. I really urge you guys to make sure you get it. I like to cut my nails too because it helps me type faster sometimes before a big test, and every little second counts, and just really get your typing speed up there too because that's probably what's going to save you from making a mistake or something, and just to make sure you really have as much time as possible for these things. Um, so quick recap, yeah, duty, the important things are majority, Cardozo rule, foreseeable plightens, orbital danger. Those are the important ones. Strict liability is that inherently dangerous activities, those are select words, dangerous animals, and maybe be one other one, I forget what it is. Um, breach, to failure to perform one's duty, okay? So we're going to talk about reasonable persons test, all right? The reasonable persons test. What would a reasonable person done? Why would it have been a breach of duty? And also discuss any other duties you discussed up here in this breach. Like I just quickly glossed over the strict liability rule here that I discussed as one of the additional duties here. Remember, in duty, always discuss the Cardozo rule, which is kind of the general duty. Maybe I should have said general duty here, but I mean they get what I was talking about. And then do a separate issue for any other duties after the regular duty here, okay? Actual cause, easy, approximate cause, damages, always physical, okay? If you're going to talk about comparative contributory negligence, always just mention this part. Oh, some jurisdictions are different. Some are pure, which is exact percentages. Some of them are modified. You're 50% or more. That's just some part. I think there's another one too where I think if. Oh yeah. Oh. Yeah. Modify. Yeah. Maybe not. Okay. So. Special damage always specific, quantifiable. General, it's just always general. Just remember pain, suffering, and convenience. Okay, and just always use the same as like words from your rule with the ones in your analysis. Okay, and I already hit you over the head enough about using the exact words from the fact pattern in your answers here. Okay. That's it. Thanks for watching.